It isn't too uncommon for Pokemon to have multiple different types of forms. This goes all the way back to Generation 2 with Unknown, and as time goes on we get more and more Pokemon with different and unique forms. Forms like Mega Evolution, the Cherum forms, and the various Arceus forms are some of the most popular ones, but there's also some less popular ones or downright weird forms out there as well. First, we have one of my personal favorites, the Spiky-eared Pichu. This Pichu appears as an event in Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver inside the Ilex Forest. This Pichu will always appear as female, can't breed or evolve, and has a spiky ear unique from other Pichu, hence the name Spiky-eared Pichu. The Spiky-eared Pichu can't be traded outside of Heart Gold or Soul Silver either, and can't be transferred to newer games with things like Pokemon Bank, unfortunately. The story behind the Spiky-eared Pikachu is something to do with time traveling, which is why it can't evolve apparently, and somehow relates to Celebi, which coincidentally also happens to be a time traveling Pokemon. This Pichu even appeared in some episodes of the anime as well as the manga, showing that it has a much deeper story than this. Castform is the weather Pokemon first introduced in Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire from the Weather Institute near Fort Tree City. It has 3 different forms, one for each weather except for Sandstorm. The base Castform is normal type, however it changes to fire type in the sun, water type in the rain, and ice type in the hail, which is my personal favorite of the bunch. The closest thing we have to another Pokemon having a similar weather-based form is Cherum, which changes forms in the sun, although in this case it's more of just an aesthetic change. I've always wished that they have done more with the Pokemon Castform due to how unique it is, but unfortunately just isn't a very good Pokemon to be used in battle, even on weather-based teams. On the other hand, one of the more lesser known Pokemon with different forms is Basculin, which is actually pretty good in its own right. There's the Red Stripe form and the Blue Stripe form. They have the same exact stats, with the main difference being their abilities. The Red Stripe form has access to the ability Reckless, while the Blue Stripe form has access to the ability Rock Head. This is a pretty neat concept between the two Basculin forms, however they both get Mold Break and Adaptability, which are both arguably better abilities anyway. I used to really like using Basculin a lot in battle, and it's a pretty fun Pokemon to use. Now out of all of the mythical Pokemon out there, Caldeo is one of my favorites. It's very powerful to use in battles and always stood out to me over the other mythical Pokemon, which were usually some sort of small cutesy creature. Caldeo has a separate form known as the Resolute form, which gives it a larger blue horn and adds some different colors into its hair. You can obtain the Resolute form by teaching Caldeo the move Secret Sword, which is also its signature move. Now that I think about it, Generation 5 has a lot of different forms for its various mythical and legendary Pokemon, and it has always been my favorite generation when it comes to these various mythicals and legendaries, mainly due to their uniqueness. If you played through any of the Sinnoh Pokemon games, there's a chance you've encountered a few different Burmies, or maybe even had one on your own throughout playing the region. You might have noticed that when it evolved into Wormadam, it might have looked a bit different from other Wormadams you saw other trainers have or from pictures online. Wormadam has 3 different forms based on which Burmy form you caught. The Burmy forms are all purely cosmetic, and the only changes come once you evolve. The green one is the Plant Coat, which is a Bug and Grass type Wormadam. The brown one is the Sandy Cloak, which is the Bug and Ground type, and lastly the pink one is the Trash Cloak with the Bug and Steel type. All 3 of these forms have slightly different stats distributions and move pools, which combined with their different typings make them feel like rather unique Pokemon in their own right, as opposed to 3 of the same Pokemon. I've always really liked the Steel type Trash form the best, since Bug and Steel tends to be a pretty good typing in battle. Every other Bug and Steel type Pokemon is pretty good regardless, while Wormadam Trash lives up to the trash part of its name and is considerably weaker than any of the other strong Bug Steel type Pokemon that we have. Another Generation 4 Pokemon with various different forms with different types is Rotom. This was first introduced in Pokemon Platinum, where Rotom could possess household appliances in order to make it resemble them and learn a different move that would fit, such as the Washing Machine Rotom knowing Hydro Pump, or the Fan-based Rotom knowing the move Air Slash. Originally in Pokemon Platinum version, the game introduced the Rotom forms, and all of the Rotom forms retained the Ghost typing and just learned a new move. This changed in Generation 5, where each Rotom would also change the type as well. Rotom Wash being one of the best historically, as it is electric and water, although all the other Rotom forms are still pretty good in their own right. All of the appliance-based forms have the same stats, which is different than the original regular Rotom. The main difference between the Rotom forms and the regular Rotom is that the Rotom forms are a bit bulkier while being a little bit slower. If you saw my recent video about my favorite Pokemon, you would have seen that one of my favorite Pokemon mentioned was Pumpkaboo. Pumpkaboo, along with its evolution Gourgeist, have 4 different forms based on their size. Each Pumpkaboo size has a different stat line, with HP going up by 5 as the stat gets bigger, and speed decreasing by 5 as well. For Gourgeist, the HP goes up by 10 for each size difference, but their speed decreases by 15. If you breed any of them, the eggs will retain the size of the female once hatched, unless you use a Ditto, which in that case it would just retain the male form. Xerneas has some different forms too, although its counterpart Yveltal does not. There's the neutral mode with the regular blue antlers, and the active mode where its antlers change colors and resemble more of a rainbow. There's really no difference between the two outside of the aesthetic, and the reason for the active mode form is because according to Pokemon lore, Xerneas shares everlasting life when in that form. Cramaran has a couple of different forms, which all have some pretty funny names, which is why I wanted to include them. It has the Gulping form and the Gorgling form. This is all done through Cramaran's signature ability, Gulp Missile. If Cramaran used the move Surf or Dive, it will catch something in its mouth. If it caught an Arrokuda while having more than half health, it will change into its Gulping form. If it had under half health, it will catch a Pikachu and turn into its Gorgling form. If Cramaran is hit in one of these forms, it will spit out the Pokemon and deal damage equal to 25% of the target. And the last Pokemon with weird forms I want to discuss is Alcremie. Alcremie has over 60 different forms, with multiple different shiny forms as well. There aren't really any real differences between these forms aside from the color and a little bit of the aesthetic, all of which are achieved by giving your Milcery a certain suite in Pokemon Sword and Shield, and spinning your character around in a certain way. This is one of the sillier ways to get a Pokemon form, and can take a lot of time to collect every different form if you want to, making it a lot harder than Vivillon, which is also another notorious Pokemon for having a lot of different forms. And those are just some Pokemon with rather weird or unusual forms that you might not have known. Some of them are more well known than others of course, but a lot of them are unique in their own right. Let me know in the comments down below which forms are your favorite, and also consider leaving a like as it helps the channel a ton, and helps YouTube promote my channel, and subscribe so you don't miss any future uploads. Thank you all so much for watching, have a great rest of your day, I will see you all next time, and bye bye.